Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch was a 2007 model year 50th anniversary celebration of the original CK2915 Speedmaster of 1957. You were looking at the Omega Speedmaster Broad Arrow 1957 Au Chocolat, a very Swiss way of launching a 50th anniversary piece. It's a watch inspired by history, but also inspired by chocolate. And to that end, we've got some brown bronze accent and, of course, rose gold elements to complement the stainless steel. So the watch is 42 millimeters in diameter, like a moon watch. It's 13.4 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 48.5 millimeters from end link to end link. The total distance across the wrist is 53 millimeters, and then there's a 20 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. It's a weighty watch, and it's a solid piece, so we're going to put this on the scale and get a sense of just how hefty it is, because sometimes weight is a measure of luxury, albeit not one that a caliper can define. So there you go right there. Quite hefty and substantial for a watch that really doesn't have a whole lot of size to it. It's still a 42 millimeter moonwatch sized case on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it wears nicely, though the solid end links do create quite a projection across the wrist, which is why I'm going to advise that if you're wearing this, you wear it on a wrist my size or larger. On a strap, if you were to put it on a strap, you could probably wear it on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. There's your over the top, there's your down the barrel, and here's your cuff shot. You can see the overlap of the bezel creates some problems for super tight sleeves, but jackets should be fine. Taking a look at the bracelet, you can see we've got center links in rose gold, polished in satin, polished outer faces. We're into the era of removable links fixed by screws on Omega bracelets. Note that there's a little intermediate size link there and another one on the opposite side in case you find yourself in between sizes. We also have a few different anchoring points for the bracelet. You can move the spring bar to change the anchoring point, adjust the size. Note that the marks and the engravings on the clasp are still very deep and pronounced, very sharp and well defined. So this has been minimally and professionally refinished if it's been refinished in its time. Twin trigger release, so it cannot pop open inadvertently. Lyre style lugs with the inward bevel and the outward bevel. We have a combination of polish and satin externally with a Speedmaster professional style case with shear guards for the crowns and pushers. We have a lovely brown bronze anodized aluminum bezel insert with a tachymetric scale for gauging speed. And then we have this lovely chocolate brown bronze sunburst metallic dial with rose gold elements, logo, marquee, indices, and hands with broad arrow hour hand. And the idea is to nod towards the 1957 model. To that end, you also have some elements like alpha style hands on the sub registers and a sapphire crystal. So this is not a moon watch in the strict sense. You can see we've got plenty of luminescence here. And then I've got something a moon watch doesn't have. Well, a couple things a moon watch doesn't have. Back in 2007, the Moonwatch didn't have a stop seconds function, and you can see here, to this day, you're not going to find a Speedmaster Professional that has, just demonstrate this right here, got to pull it out into its clutch position. We've got a quick set mechanism for rapidly setting the date. And a date with a quick set is not something you'll find on a Speedmaster Professional Moonwatch. Although the Moon Phase version has a date, it doesn't include a crown-based quickset. All right, vertical clutch column wheel combination. So a vertical clutch for smooth engagement with no jump or stagger when you start the chronograph. Also, if you like to leave your chronograph running, here you can do so with no additional wear or tear on the movement. That's one of the advantages of the vertical clutch, along with seamless engagement. And we have a column wheel, making for crisp function cycling. Turning it all over, you can see this is based on a Frederic Piguet 1285, which is a somewhat thicker and more capable version of the Blancpain 1185 from Frederic Piguet. You can see this is the caliber 3313. It's based on the FP 1285. We've got unidirectional winding, a 52-hour power reserve, a free-sprung balance, a coaxial escapement, 5-position adjustment, a COSC chronometer certification, vertical clutch with column wheel. And you can see the column wheel in action. It's visible through the case back The execution of the bridges is a little bit better than what you'd expect on an Omega movement, as the degree of decoration, although primarily mechanical in its application, is quite attractive. You can see 5-position adjustment, 37 joules, and it has quite a bit of refinement as a standard. FPGA 1285 is not free-sprung, is not a chronometer, and does not have the coaxial escapement, which is a tangential friction type of escapement, and tangential is less than the sliding friction of a traditional Swiss lever, improving power reserve, this is 52 hours, reducing maintenance requirements, and potentially improving precision, one of the reasons this is a chronometer-certified watch. There is lots to love here, and if you love it, please reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. One last quick note. I thought you might have seen it on the case back, but just to be sure, 100-meter water resistance, which is twice a moon watch and sufficient for surface swimming.